So, Kathy, thanks for taking the time. I would love for you to share your experience of the Sick to Fit retreat that we held in North Carolina, and maybe start with like what your concerns or trepidations or doubts were going in, because I know you had some.
Oh, absolutely. So one of the things that I was wondering, because I was just walking at that time and like, you run and Josh is an ultra marathon runner. And I was like, well, I'll try. And one of the things was that I was too scared to ask you even exactly what we were going to do in case I tried to back out. But what was so wonderful, and actually it kind of is a theme throughout the whole retreat, was that I really got to be where I was. So I didn't have to go and pretend that I'm a runner. I got to walk. So the movement was movement, but it was within the parameters that I had, which was really comforting, and it was very empowering as the whole weekend went along.
What are some other examples of the come as you are feeling that you had, that you were okay to be there?
Absolutely. I think because like the three parts of the program, which of Sick to Fit, which I am super in awe of, is the whole menu, mindset, and movement. So we talked about the movement, and I always tell people that my friend Howard used to tell me he was just a health coach. And now I know what you really do, which you're like this mindset guru, and it's amazing. So I don't feel like I had to be at here, like I know exactly what's going on and where I want my mind to be. So I feel like we got in there and we talked about things, and there were thoughtful conversations, and everybody got to kind of be where they were and get new ideas. And another thing that was really powerful about the retreat was the deep sense of community. And I feel like it happened faster than I expected it to. So I felt like by the end of the first evening, certainly by the first morning, I felt like we were a group, a very supportive group of people that were really trying to get to know each other so we could actually be more supportive. And that was really key.
Right. And largely it felt like mostly a group of introverts. Like a lot of people came in concerned that they were not going to be part of the group. Now, aside from like the vetting that we did to make sure that we had good people, what in your experience contributed to the weaving together of such a strong, supportive group so quickly?
Well, definitely the way you and Josh. Well, Josh is just Josh, right? So he is out there for everyone to see, and he's super friendly. I lived in New Orleans for a while, so he's very welcoming and concerned, and so I think that helps. I feel like you were really like trying to get everything together, set the scene, get the right music, have everybody kind of come together. I was there too, both as a participant and to do some teaching of some different cooking things. So that made me want to get to know everybody a little bit to kind of see how I could help them as well. And as that started, right, was what you expect. You go into a place and the presenters are going to be more involved. But as everyone started talking to each other, it just magically kind of came to a point that everyone was really understanding of, we're trying to make these big life changes. Things aren't always as easy as we think they're going to be. And so I think that it was just a natural feeling and a natural projection of just going to want to help other people do what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we understand that we're asking people to make changes that can feel scary and risky and can make them feel vulnerable. So one of the things we worked really hard at was making it a space where people could feel safe. Can you talk about that?
That's a great way to put it. And in fact, that's how, in my business, I always say one of my things is I'm trying to make people feel safe or create that safe space. And I would say that was absolutely created there. And by safe space, where you could you could say something that maybe you wouldn't normally say to everyone else. You could say, I don't want to do this, and talk about doing it, and then maybe doing it, maybe not doing it. So there was this freedom of kind of going down your own path and having your own inner dialogue, and sometimes have that inner dialogue come out, and I think that was really powerful. I think when we were doing some of the mindset stuff, which I'm thinking is us sitting around all together talking, and you had some really great prompts that certainly made me think about things in a different way than I have in the past. And it just became, I'm trying to think of it, it's almost like it was a sacred circle. As soon as we all had kind of shared something, then it really was just, it gelled together. It gelled together much faster than I expected it to.
Okay. So we're asking people to make an investment in this, an investment of time, of travel, of focus, of money. Like you can have a weekend that's a great time. It's a few days away. But we really try to construct something that has a lasting impact. Can you speak to like what's happened since, we're recording this now almost 2 months after the retreat? Does it have any staying power in your life?
It absolutely does. And what's kind of one of the things that I appreciate the most about the program, and we also talked about this in the retreat, is that sometimes things aren't going to go the way you expect them to go. And so what I like about Sick to Fit is that you kind of prepare us for having these like roadblocks. So like I was sick for 3 weeks, and normally that would be me just throwing away anything that I've done. So it would be like, well, I wasn't able to really walk for 3 weeks, so I guess I'm done with that part of my life. I'm not a young whippersnapper like I was 3 weeks ago, or whatever crazy, inner dialogue you have about that, because when you're sick, I probably lived on smoothies for 2 of those 3 weeks. But I feel like by being in the program, by having that support, by being there for those days really gave me a strong foundation, as well as kind of having this, things are not always going to go right. And here's some ways you can think about it when they don't go right. So it was a lot easier for me to start walking and only walk what I could walk, right? So if I haven't walked in 3 weeks, I probably can't walk a 5K every day to start off with. Though me being me thinks I should, but I let Howard and Josh be in my head, and I walked until I was kind of tired and came back. And then the next day I go out and do a little bit more. It's not to never push yourself, but it's also knowing that sometimes you have limitations that it's not helpful to go past. So I feel like having that foundation, and also just having the community. I mean, I really will say, leaving Sick to Fit, doing the retreat, I think for as far as like money and time and all of that, coming out with the community that includes you and Josh as well. So it wasn't like it was the people who were taking it and you and Josh were these separate things that sometimes you spoke to us. It really was and some groups are like that. If you go to a retreat, you get your stuff, and then the retreat people become friends. But this was very much a supportive community, with including you and Josh trying to help us get along on our path, and having that to fall back on is really priceless, and it's worth 10 times what the retreat costs.
So if someone's on the fence and they're not sure, and I'm not sure if someone should go or not, what would you tell them to think about or to ask to figure out if this would be useful for them?
Okay. Well, I think it's great that you do the individual consults before that. So I think you will help them a lot. But I think asking themselves the question, are they ready to think about making a change? Like, are they willing to try something different and to hear things a different way? I don't think you have to go in there going, I'm in, I am a sick to fit all for the rest of my life now. I don't think you have to be, 130% in when you go. I think if you just kind of go, I would like to move more. I would like to understand my behaviors so that I could not talk myself out of moving, because I know I feel better when I do it. Or I know that I feel better when I eat these kinds of foods, but somehow I still keep eating these other kinds of foods. I think just having that basic awareness of there is a choice to be made, and I would like to make it, and I would like to put in some time and effort on myself so that I can make these changes happen and learn how I can be a part of that.
Got it. So does it feel like the retreat was some sort of like a little bit of an inflection point in terms of you have tools to move in the direction you want to move more than before?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would definitely say that. And I think that part of the retreat is showing, part of getting to the retreat, I think, is thinking, oh, it's going to be hard and it's going to be a big challenge and I'm going to be up for it. I think that's the kind of the barrier in a way. But then once you get there, like, you have to do all this, you get there and it's like, oh, now I have all these things to make cooking easier and eating easier and moving easier. And now I have these tools to think about this. So yeah, I think it was a really great thing to do. I do know probably less than 12 hours from walking in and meeting everybody that I felt really comfortable, really supportive, really safe. And that was a great way for me to have the rest of the days to really take in everything that was being put out.
Great, thanks. Anything you want to say that I haven't asked you?
I would just go back again to say the community is totally worth it. And I think that I can't imagine that another group of people that come through and do these same like talks and walks and all that won't have the same experience. I think it is kind of a magical coming together of things. And I would also say, really give this as a gift to yourself. If you're watching Sick to Fit or following Sick to Fit on Facebook, you know what you want to do. And so why not just go ahead and do it, And I think it's an easy, accelerated, supportive way to make a change in kind of a compressed amount of time. And I think that's a wonderful thing. It's been great for me, and it's been great for my wife, Cheryl. She's been doing amazing. She's lost over 40 pounds, and she's off of some of her medications. I don't usually like to talk about weight loss, but I will do it here just now. But I've lost a little over 20 pounds, which is, significant for me. So, and I have been feeling better, and it was kind of nice to buy some smaller clothes. So, the effects keep going on. And also I feel like you can come back and check in either with someone else who was at the retreat or with one of you guys and kind of get another little injection of inspiration when the time comes.